Hey guys, I'm always shocked when it works. Well, I'm either early or y'all are late. Where is everybody? Let's see. All right, well, I guess I'll talk to myself for a while then. Seems like last time I was here, we were talking about, we decided we wanted to talk about homeopathy. So we can do that. We can answer questions. We can do whatever you guys want. But since nobody's asking anything, I guess I will just start rambling about homeopathy. So, it's been kind of the journey for me to figure this out because it's such a different way of thinking. You know, we're all indoctrinated into germ theory and viruses cause disease and bacteria cause infection and all this other mess that y'all all know that I'm not a fan of or not a proponent of. But we're all like trained to try to suppress symptoms. And, you know, if something is, if you feel bad or have some symptom or something, then we need to give an something like an anti-inflammatory, an antibiotic, something like that to eliminate those symptoms. So you have to like kind of retrain yourself on how to think about it. So you don't want to do an you want to do a pro because you want to work with the body, right? So basically that's what, but they start with a natural, a real natural ingredient. And then they're diluted, very, very highly diluted. So like, you'll see the potencies are like a 6x or a 6x or a 6C or a 30C or a 200C or something like that. So what that means is, well, like a C is 100, right? And an X is 10. So for example, a 6X would be, is diluted one drop, 1 to 10, 6 times. Well, 1 to 10, and then it's succussed. And then you take 1 out of that and add 10 more, and it's succussed. And 1 out of that, 10 more, and it's succussed, right? So you can imagine what, how diluted a 200C would be. And that is just considered a moderate potency. And the higher the number, the higher the potency, the more, think of it as the stronger it is. So the more it's diluted, the stronger it is, which is kind of counterintuitive to what we're trained, because we think that the more diluted it is, the less effective it is, right? So, sorry, my phone's going off. That's what you get for not turning your phone off. Nobody ever calls me though. So you have to retrain yourself to think differently. So the higher the dilution, the less actual of the substances in there, but the more potentized it is, and the succussion is important. So this is part of why it's so safe, because it basically carries over the essence or the frequency, or however you want to think about that, as the medicine. It's not the actual substance, right? And a lot of homeopathic remedies start with a toxic substance, like arsenicum which is arsenic, is one of the most widely used and most effective remedies there is, right? But it starts with a toxic ingredient, but it's so diluted that there's nothing left but the essence of it, right? So it gives the body the push um, to push off or to resolve those symptoms is a better way to think of it. So, for instance, arsenicum is really good for food poisoning and nausea, something like that. So if you're feeling like that and you take that, um, the body is stimulated to. You can't have two diseases presenting at the same time, right? So that arsenicum encourages the body to resolve the original, whatever the original problem is that's causing that symptom. So that's sort of how that works. Let's see. What else can I tell you about it? It's incredibly safe. It's the only modality that I know of that has the potential to be full on curative. There's no real side effects. Basically, the worst thing that can happen is if you choose the wrong remedy for that particular situation, it just won't have an action. So there's a lot of trial and error sometimes. Kind of depends on what it is. If you have an acute issue, like like what I was just talking about, like a nausea or a headache or a diarrhea or something like that, a lot of times you can have like an immediate effect. If you have a more chronic problem, you have to kind of peel off the layers. I know y'all have heard that before. So you have like different layers of disease and how that's why so many dogs have skin issues, because that's the easiest place for the body to push toxins out, right? And if you suppress those symptoms, it pushes that disease further down. So depending on where you're starting with homeopathy, you can uproot the entire thing, but it may come off in layers. So that's kind of a brief description of that. What else do I want to talk about? Somebody asked me something. Talking to myself is, I already know what I know. So, let's see. What else can we talk about? Who else is here? Somebody else is here. Let's see. Natessa and Keisha. Yay! Somebody's here. Y'all asked me something. I've been talking to myself for 9 minutes now. Let's see what's going on. So, the illness of the month so far has been incredibly itchy feet. And there seems to be a lot of reasons for that, but let's see. Well, y'all are leaving me hanging here. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Yeah, itchy feet are not fun. I've had people tell me, well, today I had a consult this morning that I was on the phone for 2 hours. I didn't have a I could hardly talk after I finally hung up with her. But we talked about itchy feet and mast cell tumors and um, different dog foods. I usually tell people, well, I always tell people that I need to know, what they're feeding. And this is the second person in the last couple of weeks that I've had that were already feeding raw, but they were feeding a different raw than Raw Dog Food and Co. And a lot of the commercial brands have got all kinds of stuff added in, right? Um, chelated minerals and fish oils and um, things like that, just so they can meet the AFCO standards. Um, and I think that is causing a lot of issues, and it seems to be um, my theme for this past week. People are always asking me, well, what supplement can I give? What can I add in? What can I do for this? What can I do for that? And my answer has been, well, I don't think we need to add something. I think we need to take things away. I think you're overcomplicating things. And I've seen that be a trend too. Um, it's not rocket science. And actually, I've decided rocket science isn't a thing either. So um, that's a topic for another discussion. In particular, that has helped the itchy feet. I don't know yet. I've had one Frenchie that I've been dealing with for a couple of months, and she was bound and determined not to go back to allopathic medicine, but she was in a really stressful situation, and they were getting divorced and moving, and the dog was having all kinds of problems. And we're down to she started out with her skin was broken out, and she was itchy all over, and she was having gastric issues, and she was yeast can be, but a lot of people, it gets blamed too often. I don't think everybody says when it's rusty it's yeast, but that's not necessarily true. I mean, it can be, but not necessarily. And anyway, this dog was waking up multiple times in the night and all that, and just using homeopathy and kind of going systematically through things, we're down to just the feet. She just has between her toes is swollen. I've seen that before, and we're trying a couple things, so I'm waiting to see what works. And then I just had an email conversation with somebody earlier today about incredibly itchy feet. And we haven't really discussed what to do yet, so I don't know. So when I figure out how to fix it, as Dee Dee says, if you figure out how to fix all that, you'll be a millionaire. Which, in this day and age, I don't know if that's going to help anything. But again, a topic for another day. So I'm actually starting to think too that, and this comes from, well, just gathering information from all different places, but I'm starting to think that, well, y'all probably know how I'm like completely anti-complete and balanced, right? But a lot of these commercial foods that are trying to meet AFCO standards have got added minerals and I think I just said that, all that stuff in there. And I think those are causing a problem. And then some people also will do toppers or a vitamin mineral supplement or something like that. And I think the minerals, I think they're getting over mineraled, and I think the body doesn't know what to do with it. And if you give it in a form like that, it's basically synthetic, and I don't think the body knows how to handle it. So the best way to get your complement of minerals is going to be with a natural digestible bone and increased organs. So like liver and Feet are good. Duck feet are good. Turkey necks, chicken necks, wings, things like that. I think that's your best way. Well, and also the phytosynergy too. That's a good source of trace microminerals. But I'm really starting to think that those supplements and the added minerals in the commercial foods are really causing a problem. So, and I think that can have something to do with what you were asking about yeast, Keisha, how anytime something is rust colored, the automatic assumption is that it's yeast. But if you think about it, if you have a dog that is high in iron, that's what it's gonna be. And Dee Dee actually confirmed that too. She was talking to a lady that had a little white dog that had horrible tear staining, and she cut down. They just switched the blends that they were doing and cut back on the overall iron content, and she said that the staining was fading. So I definitely think there's something to that. So we'll see how that carries on. But yeah, I'm just starting to think that well, I've always sort of thought this, but I'm starting to really think that seriously, simpler is better. And if you're going to add something in, you better be sure that you really need it. Unless it's another whole food. So yeah. What else y'all got? Since it's just me and Keisha and Natessa. Where is everybody tonight? What if water doesn't have minerals because take everything out? I think that's fine. You're gonna, like I said, you're gonna get your appropriate minerals from organs and digestible bone. So I don't think that's really a problem. If you feel like it's a problem for you personally, then you can add a touch of sea salt, good quality sea salt. So, but yeah, and actually, I did over the weekend. I did a water workshop with. Well, Dr. Kaufman had published a water workshop a while back, and I did the recordings this weekend, and he talked a little bit about that, and that question came up then too about, because he was suggesting using reverse osmosis water and distilled water, which is got nothing in it. And so people were like, well, what do you add back? And he's like, you don't really need to worry about it, but you can put a pinch of salt in there if you want. So he said this too about how the body has trouble using minerals and incorporating them properly and all that. And that kind of echoed what Dr. Brady had said. I heard him say that too. So kind of putting all that together. And then the tear staining thing and the rust colored skin and all that kind of all does fit together. And I've also had, in the last couple of months, I've had people that are having like quote unquote copper storage disease and issues with that, which I don't think is a thing. I think it's a toxic buildup of something else, or a complete imbalance in zinc or something. Again, something that regulation that AFCO changed, and they changed the form that was required, and then they didn't change the amount, and one is more bioavailable than the other, and so it caused this whole thing. So all that added stuff is not good. So Yeah, something says AFCO approved, complete and balanced. Run yelling and screaming the other way. Sea salt and Himalayan salt. They are different, but one's not necessarily better than the other, as long as they're both high quality. You can use both. Like I have, my shaker has Himalayan salt in it, and then the big container, like to salt pasta water and to cook with, has got sea salt in it, or Redmond's real salt. So combination of both. Just stay away from cheaply made additives or table salt. So that actually came from Dr. Palevsky was talking about that several weeks ago too. So yeah. What else I got? Oh, the dogs are fence fighting. The neighbors must have let their dog out to pee. Let's see. What else can we talk about? Let's see. Did y'all hear what I was saying about homeopathy? Did that spark any questions for anybody? No? Let's see. Why do they say old people don't get enough salt? Haven't heard that. That's a good question. So do you know what they say that results in? Like, does it result in a pathology of some sort? I haven't actually heard that before. But I think everybody's just trying to kill old people anyway, so they're probably starving them. Oh, high blood pressure. So high blood pressure basically is if you think about it, so what I was talking about, symptoms, right? So I don't guess I finished this thought though. So a symptom is, people look at the symptom as the disease or the sickness, right? When in reality, the symptom is the healing, the body going through the healing process. So that's why you don't want to suppress them, because that's the actual um, healing action. So high blood pressure is the body responding to something else. So if you if you artificially stop that, you're squelching the healing process for whatever's actually happening. So I think probably what you're talking about, the salt in the high blood pressure in the old people, is more to do with table salt, because table salt is full on toxic. But that probably all goes together one way or another. If your dog is urinating frequently, even on a raw diet, is there a possibility for diabetes? If your dog is on an appropriate raw diet, then no. I would say there is not very much likelihood of diabetes. And they are going to pee more on raw than on anything else. Yeah, so he just pees a lot. He's a he. We had this discussion. So yeah. All right. So what else? Are you talking about, which dog are you talking about, Kelly? Yeah. Yeah, he just pees a lot. He's like Harvey. At least he doesn't pee on my refrigerator anymore. So for y'all that don't know, Kelly, who just jumped on, has I rehomed one of my dogs with her, so she has one of my corgis. Well, he's hers now, but so anyway, he's often the topic of discussion. What else y'all got? I feel like I'm rambling. From a human issue, can acid reflux eventually cause a deep cough? So why would you think that? Why would acid reflux have anything to do with a cough? I'm not following that line. So an acid reflux usually is because there's not enough stomach acid. You have too little acidity, not enough. So, because that's what his doctor said. Oh, well, doctors don't know what they're talking about. So yeah, if you have a reflux issue yourself or anybody else, then the last thing you want to do is use an acid reducer. You want to do something to increase that. So one thing you can do is add more tripe. Supposedly that helps. Tripe helps everything. Tripe's like a superfood. Can't go wrong with tripe. So yeah, it is gross. Agreed. It's not fun either. It's painful. I had heartburn the other day for the first time in a really long time, and I don't have any idea what it's from, but it was not fun. And oddly enough, I used to get it all the time. Okay, I think y'all are talking to each other now. Let's see. What else has been going on? I've been doing a lot of other subject studying lately. So I've been reading about banks and the financial system and the history of wars and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, the pumpkin thing, I've been saying that for a while too. I am not a big fan of pumpkin. Although, I mean, there's worse things out there, and in a lot of cases it does work. But again, you're going right back to starch, and there's so many better ways to fix whatever, if you're constipated, then drop the bone content, add some organ. If you're got diarrhea, then add more bone. There's a lot better ways to do that than adding in carbohydrates and sugar and more starch, which can lead to all kind, more itchy stuff, all that. So totally agree with that. I've been trying to steer people away from pumpkin and sweet potato for a while. Yeah, liver's always liver's the answer to a lot of things. If you're missing this or missing that, add more liver. And people are afraid of the vitamin A toxicity with liver, and I think that is really hard to accomplish. I think you would end up with like liquid Hershey squirts before you ever got there. So I'm pretty sure that you you would stop. Although when I first started doing raw, there was of course there was no information anywhere. There was no books, there was nobody already doing it. It was like a fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. There was like one or two books that there was Dr. Billinghurst's book, and then there was Timothy Schulze's book. Those were the two I started with when I first started. And there was people that they would do, instead of doing like a little bit of all three components every day, like muscle meat, organ, and bone, they would do just one thing. Like they would do an all bone day or an all organ day, or they do like one organ day a week. And they do, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how people get away with that. I mean, my dogs pretty much have iron stomachs, but if I was to do an all organ day, they'd be outside all day. It'd be awful. So I don't know how people got away with that. And I'm like, and I don't know why you would do that anyway. I mean, why would you? I don't know. So they would do like organ days and bone days back to back. And I'm like, why don't you just do them together? But anyway, whatever. At least they were feeding real food and not kibble, right? So, and then people do, I think people still do this. They do like all fish days, which is fine. If you have a little dog, sometimes one sardine is like their entire day's worth of food. But with a big dog, I would just throw the fish on top. But yeah. All right. What else y'all got? Give me a direction to go. Cannon, but yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Of course, I don't know that I would know with a doggy door. Ringing in the ears, nervous system issue. What about it? What's the question? Are you saying, is ringing in the ears a nervous system issue? Could that? Yeah, could be. I mean, it's a sensory thing. So yeah, I would think it could be. Are your ears ringing? There was something about tinnitus the other day. It's a side effect for so many different things. Well, obviously vaccine damage is one. I can't remember some of the others. There's lots of things that tinnitus is a side effect of. It just depends on how. Oh, some people, the people that are incredibly sensitive to EMF, they have that really bad. And I've heard people say that, gosh, I can't remember now. I want to say it was a COVID shot that made them more sensitive to EMF, but I don't think that's right. I think it was something else. But they didn't notice it, and then they became incredibly sensitive to it, and then their ears were ringing so bad that they couldn't hardly stand it. I have that, but I don't notice it. So, all right, what else? Where is everybody today? That's an awfully small group today. Usually there's more of us here. Some have tried mRNA tablets. Helps with AML sensitivity. That's not really a question, Kelly. mRNA tablets. What's an mRNA tablet? I don't think that, well, we won't go there. Standard process has them. Well, that is quite interesting. That's very interesting. Alrighty then. There's another strike for standard process. Let's see what else interesting has happened. I've had somewhat of a uneventful couple of days, so not a lot happening. Everybody decided to come in. I think I'm gonna have to take Harvey to see Dr. Andi because one of his hind legs is just sort of like hanging. I think maybe we should get that fixed. Oh, I should tell everybody. I finally have my website up and going with the help of our friend Dana, who may or may not be coming at some point. But it's wholeanimalwellness.com. Oh, what about Sam Bankman-Fried? I know who he is, yes, but what happened now that I haven't heard about? Hi, Harvey. Oh, well, you're behind. Maybe you should listen to some of those podcasts I send you in a timely manner. Then you would know what's happening in the world. Ha. Let's see. Man, y'all are not helping me. Here, I'll post it. I think I'm gonna do a blog site too, but I gotta get a little more disciplined in actually writing a blog. But I think it's gonna be more rambling than with some information, but more thoughts, esoteric thoughts. So, but we'll see how that goes. What kind of questions would I like? At this point, it doesn't matter. Just anything's better than dead air. So, and I'm out of topics. Let's see. My favorite thing about homeopathy. It works, and it's safe, and it's cheap. And anything the FDA is against, I'm all for. Well, That's not exactly true, but that's kind of true. And there's no side effects. It's not dangerous. And it has centuries of experience behind it. So, absolutely. And I really do think it has a lot to do with frequency. And I think that frequency is a really big deal. Frequency and resonance and all that is a really big deal. And the dogs like it. I mean, when somebody's getting a remedy, they all line up. They all want one. So, yeah, I'm waiting for Farmer to disappear too. I think that it's actually possible. I think it might happen. Of course, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop with all the information that's coming out. There's a reason they're letting it come out. So, I mean, I'm sure some of it is, gotten past the powers that ought not be, but I think some of it is coming out because they're letting it out, which makes me wonder why they're letting that out. But we'll see. I'm waiting for the FDA to go away. I think we'd do better regulating ourselves than they are. You're taking her. I don't know what meadow is. Homeopathy can do wonders with tumors too. Colloidal silver or copper, no. Colloidal silver is just another version of an antibiotic, and we don't want to do anti. I've never been a fan, and I don't believe in infections. Copper, I'm not sure about copper. Internally, no. But I'm wondering if it might help take some of the static out of the air, which would help. I don't know. Mushrooms and CBD. I'm assuming you meant CBD instead of CDC. Mushrooms and CBD both for tumors. I would do depending on what they are. Chaga for sure, and then a mushroom complex with turkey tail in it, and then CBD internally, and if it's like a tumor that like a mast cell or something that looks like an outward tumor, you can do a remedy or a salve too. And Dana Chick is a good one to talk to about that. Her link is on my website too, on the preferred or trusted friends page. The link to her, I can't remember what her site is offhand, but the link is there on mine. She does CBD consults and can help a lot with that. I don't know I don't know what that is, Kelly. Are you talking to somebody else? There she is. Positive balance. There's Dana. I just got you a consult, Dana. Alkaline diets. Yeah. Alkaline, no. Is alkaline diet for cancers or fasting protocols? I would go fasting before alkaline. I'm not very into the alkaline thing. So so Dana's asking, it's oh, where'd her name go? There she is, right underneath you. There you go. There you go. Connected. Yeah. So what else I got? Now that ask me some questions, Dana. I've been sitting here yammering to myself. Oh, well, that's good. Good deal. Hopefully that will come up with a solution for her. Digestive enzymes. Is that a question or an answer? Okay. Digestive enzymes. Go. Okay. So there's a time and a place for that. The thing to keep in mind, anytime you add something to the body, it's going to reduce its output. So if you are giving your dog digestive enzymes, they're going to slow down their production of their own digestive enzymes, right? So if you have a dog that's having issues with absorption or having pancreatitis issues, or if you're switching them over, they're having temporary problems, or sometimes a puppy that is just transitioning over, you can add those digestive enzymes for a short period of time just to help them adapt. But unless you have an older compromised dog that you're going to leave them on for the rest of their life, you kind of want to be careful with that. But they can definitely be good in a problem situation like that, where they just need a little bit of a oomph. Okay, hotspots. Well, they're not fun, and they're almost always they are always from a toxic issue, be it predisposition from vaccine damage and exacerbated by kibble or pharmaceuticals or something like that. The only way to get rid of them is to remove whatever the toxin is, as much toxic input as possible. And then the restore salve that I'm always going on about being magical, it can help topically until it heals and until you can fix what's actually causing it. So Kelly, you should do the hydration protocol that I'm doing, that we were talking about the other day. And yeah, could be. Are you saying constipation is back, Dana? We were talking a little bit about the balance of organs and bones and cannon butt and all that. Still there. Is neem oil good? It's good for fleas and ticks. On day 3 of 4-leaf rovers digest. Okay, good. we'll see how that goes. But her dog is older, so we're not terribly concerned about adding those enzymes. Poop is starting to log up. Well, that's good. Yeah, so we're not too worried about the body shutting down producing its own enzymes because he's an older guy and needs a little help. So yeah. What else we got? Best recommendation for allergies. Oh God, Dana, really? Seasonal allergies. Let's see. Yeah, I did ask. Well, that's such a loaded question. Yeah, colostrum can help. Certainly can. The mushroom complex can help. Anything that can keep what's a good way to say this? Normally, I would say anything that can keep the immune system from being overstimulated and overreacting. However, there's no such thing as immune system. It's a detox system. So let's say it that way. Anything to keep the detox system from overreacting, because that's what's happening, right? Shows up in runny nose, itchy eyes, goopy ears, itchy skin, that type of thing, right? So let's think through this. So what would you want to do? You'd want to encourage, since we already talked about not suppressing symptoms, we would want to encourage that detox to continue. So depending on how it was presenting, we could go to homeopathy for that. Calc carb is a really good all-around seasonal allergy medicine. There's a couple others, again, depending on what the presenting symptoms are, but that would probably be the way I would approach that. And CBD, there you go. Calc carb. I think that's, yeah, that's right. You can, and I would do that in a low potency, like a 6C, maybe a 30C, but you can usually find that one, I think, in a lower potency. That would be a good place to start, just on general principles. That's good for a lot of other things too, but just general allergies, it's good. And then there's ones for food intolerances and for dairy intolerances and things like that. And when they present on the skin, in the eyes, a lot of times there's so many layers to that, though, you kind of have to go through a gamut of them. So homeopathy is incredibly effective, but it's not as fast acting as a pharmaceutical would be, but and we're accustomed to things working fast. So a lot of times people run out of patience for waiting for the action. Does honey help? It can. I think that's more for people than for dogs. And yeah, I'm not usually a fan of dairy for dogs, but Some of them do fine with goat dairy, but you know, I don't usually recommend it. A lot of people swear by fermented goat's milk and things like that, and it can be good for some dogs, but I don't think it's good for all of them. I think a whole lot of them have problems with cow dairy, especially the dairy that we can get. I mean, it's not like you can go out and get real clean raw dairy, you know. So if it was that, there would probably be a lot fewer problems, but we don't really have that, again, because of the freaking FDA. We don't have that available to us. So I usually tell people, especially if somebody's having any kind of issue, I usually tell them to stay away from it. And if they're using it, to drop it. And I think these things are getting worse, you know, because I think about when I first started, I used to do yogurt and all kinds of things and you know, you could see a huge difference just by switching. But as time goes on, I think the dogs are so much more toxic. It's getting harder and harder, where things that might have worked, you know, 10 years ago are not as effective as they are now, because the dog is so much more toxic than they were before. And yeah, I'm all about getting rid of the FDA. Somebody needs to burn it to the ground. And well, no, I won't say that. That's mean. Definitely too much processing for sure. And you know, they change if you listen to anybody that actually that can manage to sit through the AFCO meetings and all that, everything changes. You know, the definitions change, and every year the definition of ingredients changes. So, you know, you can't learn to read a label and stay current on it. And then the book that has the definitions in it, the actual ones that they use, it's so cost prohibitive that you can't get one. You know, they're like $700-800. That's ridiculous. So they don't want you to know. And you know, usually I like Susan Thixton and how she stands up for that and points all that stuff out, but I'm getting a little annoyed with the whole raw community and how they're, you know, question your raw food company about this and about that and blah 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 blah, and recalls and this and that. And it's like it's the whole system is you're asking the wrong questions, and it's putting a burden on the wrong companies. And you know, the FDA is like really after the raw food companies. And you know, pretty much in the raw world, the recalls don't have anything to do with sick dogs. It's because somebody at this company got mad at somebody at this other company and sicked the FDA on them. And so it's all a bunch of crap, for lack of a better way to say it. Now, recalls in the kibble world and in the commercial world are different, because, you know, I mean, think about that recall that they did a couple of years ago with the toxic vitamin D in the Science Diet. It was months and months, and there were dead dogs and sick dogs, and they knew it. And they didn't issue a recall for at least 4 months until after they knew it. With a raw company, somebody calls and says, "Oh, hey, I think this food is, you know, I think there's something wrong with this food," and they'll do a recall right then. It's so ridiculous that, I mean, yeah, it's so ridiculously corrupt. It makes me want to scream. But But yeah. All right. Well, I managed to talk for a whole hour. Do y'all have any burning questions before we kick off here? Yeah, right. Well, Dana, did you at least eat a taco for me? um, okay, good. Yeah, I think there's a shift happening too. I mean, the darkness and the corruption and the evil is still there, but there's definitely a shift. So this is our chance to kick it all to the curb. So we have to be sure that we do it. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, if you guys don't have anything else burning to ask, we'll stop the stream. And I think Dr. Andi should be back next week. Taco date. Yeah, we can do that. I'm all about tacos. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. And I guess I will talk to some of you later and some of you the next time Dr. Andi asks me to guest host her live. So, all right, guys. Bye. See you later. Thanks for coming.